Good afternoon. My name is Relita Summers, and I'm your instructor for our 618A Learning Theories course. What I want to do throughout the next few minutes is to dig deep into our syllabus, look at some major assignments, and to also go over how our Blackboard shell is set up. First thing I want to let you know is I do have office hours on campus on Mondays and Wednesdays from 10 a.m. until 10:45 a.m. in Proctor Hall on the second floor inside the CUIN office. So if you're on campus Mondays or Wednesdays from 10 until 10:45 a.m., please stop by. If you're not available to stop by during those times, we can always schedule appointments as needed. Just let me know ahead of time so we can make sure our schedules align for those appointments, and they can be online in my virtual office or they can be on campus. With that in mind, the easiest way to communicate with me is via email, and my email address is rcsummers@ncat.edu. So please make sure you email me at this email address, and if for some reason you are inside our Blackboard shell and you see an email link, please do not use that email link because it goes into a black space that I have no idea where it is. So make sure you email me at rcsummers@ncat.edu. The response time on emails may take up to 48 hours. So when it comes to assignments that are due on Sundays by 11:59, please be sure not to email me on a Friday and ask about an assignment that's due on Sunday. Additionally, as you see fit, if there's a burning question or you just need to talk to me about a content that we're covering, you just need to say, hey, Ms. Summers, this is what's going on. Help me. Email, text or call me at 336-259-5252. Just do so by 8 o'clock. Okay? So you have my office hours. You know where my office is located. Feel free to schedule an appointment if you can't come see me during those times. Email me at rcsummers@ncat.edu or use my cell phone 336-259-5252. So when it comes to the course, our required textbook is Educational Psychology by Anita Wolford. Make sure you get this book. You will need it starting this week. It is available in the bookstore, and that is where you should purchase this book. However, you are graduate students, get your book. When it comes to additional readings, there are some nestled inside our weekly modules. Additionally, there's the APA manual that you want to make sure you have available when it comes to citing stories, books. There's throughout the course. And if you go further in your education, you will definitely need it if you get a PhD. So come join the crew. Additionally, you want to know about the Code of Ethics as an educator, and you also want to make sure that you are aware or at least know where you can find the standards for your content area for your state. So with that being said, I want to make sure that you realize this is a completely online course. It's a 3-credit course, so you do have your major assignments, but you do have weekly assignments that are embedded inside our weekly modules. Those activities are similar to activities that you would do if we were in a face-to-face course. So interacting with your peers, communicating with them by a Wednesday or a Sunday is important, just because even though we're online, it's always good for us to get to know the perspectives or to think about things from a different way from our peers, from myself, or for other people that might be helping out throughout our course. So just note, online, however, we will have 3 live learning sessions, and those will be conducted either Adobe Connect or Blackboard Collaborative. On the weeks that we have those, you will know ahead of time, normally 2 weeks ahead of time, because you'll do a doodle poll, and that doodle poll will help us confirm when the majority of you are available as far as the date and the time. And each week it may change just based on what our schedules look like, but just be prepared to attend a live learning session on those weeks in which they're indicated in our schedule, which you'll see more in just a little bit. A lot of our syllabus is dedicated to learning standards for our profession as an educator. So initially we have our DART standards for the College of Education, which deal with us understanding diversity, understanding how to assess students' learning and ourselves, being reflective, as well as understanding the importance of technology in our modern society. Additionally, we have those interstate new teacher assessment and support, the consortium. InTask is what you'll probably hear it called many a times throughout your educational career. But those are pretty much standards set by a national consortium that say, hey, these are the basic skills that our teachers need to go out and to make sure every child that we interact with is ready for college and career readiness upon completing their 12th grade year and receiving a diploma. So just note, by the time you end this program, you should be proficient and able to say, yep, I understand standard one. I know how learners develop. And within this course on learning theories, we'll really hit on standard one as far as InTask standards are concerned, because we're going to look at theory. We're going to look at the theories that came up with this. We're going to look into, is it cognitive development, if it's behavioral development. So all of these things that help us understand how learners learn, why they may learn, and how theories that were developed by Piaget and Vygotsky are really important to our practice that we do now. So hopefully throughout the class, you're not going to feel like this is busy work, but you're learning how we can take theory and bridge into our practical classroom applications. So looking at standards, we go through. The next set of standards deals with CAPE. CAPE is our accrediting body. Without accreditation, going to the school means absolutely nothing. So within these CAPE standards, again, they set the bar as far as what it is that you should receive as far as your education in this program. So CAPE deals with what we're giving you as well as what you're able to produce and do in your classroom. So always take a moment to look at those standards, and those standards, as noted on each syllabus, are the ones that we're going to cover, and at some point make sure that you're getting ready to say at the end of your program, this applies to you. You're a candidate and you're ready to graduate based on these accrediting standards. So this goes on and on and on through about page 6 or 7 of our syllabus. Make sure, again, this is an online course, that you have the appropriate technology to be successful in the course. If this is your first online course, make sure you take the opportunity to look through all of the helpful links on our Blackboard shell. Make sure if you need additional support, you call the Aggie Help Desk, and you do so in a timely fashion that you can't say technology is a hindrance for you being successful in the class. So you have the Aggie Help Desk, you have Blackboard help in the board, and again, I'm here to help you as much as I can. Technology works for me, but sometimes we need a little extra boost, so make sure you know how to navigate Blackboard. Now, when it comes to our course, we're going to cover a lot in this course. If you looked at the book, it's pretty thick. Once you get into the modules, you'll also see that we have a lot of content, a lot of context. There are PowerPoints, there are readings, there are assignments, there are videos that we're going to watch. So make sure you take an opportunity to give yourself time to do all of these and not just consider this busy work or online course where all you have to do is log in and say, hey, this is how I feel. You're really going to have to dig deep and think about your responses initially on your Blackboard discussion threads and your responses to your peers. But overall, you do have major assignments. These assignments are noted on the syllabus. However, you do have weekly tasks that are embedded inside each weekly module. These tasks would be equivalent to in-class participation activities that we would do if this were a face-to-face course. So not all the times are those activities graded, but I do look for your participation. I also look because some of your tasks that are due later in the semester build on what you're learning, and also as an opportunity for you to work with your classmates to divide the load. When it comes at looking at theorists, they're not all explicitly talked about in our text. So when it comes to our assignments like our theories response, everyone can't do Piaget or Vygotsky. So you're going to have to take an opportunity to look outside of the textbook and look at additional resources to see, oh, this is a theorist. This is what they came up with. This is how it applies to modern educational practice. So there is a grid that I'm going to give you guys, and I would suggest that you divide the grid up amongst yourself and your classmates so that you do have an opportunity to learn about multiple theorists that may not be covered directly in the class. But you may say, hey, my interest is sparked in this. My interest is really behavior or classroom management. And there are theorists that support this makes sense. Do I believe in reward? Do I believe in punishment? Do I believe in conditioning students? All of those have theories that support. Does this work? Does it not work? In what situation may it work? So again, take the opportunity to get to know your classmates. Take the opportunity to share in your learning process. And just know, your peers may know more about a content area than I do. And it's okay. That's part of learning. We give, we get. I learn from you guys just as hopefully you learn from one another. So on a weekly basis, you're going to have your weekly discussion boards. Sometimes it's an actual discussion thread. Other times it's an actual activity where you may go to a Google Doc, you may go to a collaborative workspace, you may go watch a video and do a response in a wiki or to a blog. So just know it's not always, hey, this is what you do, ABC. It's when you look at this resource, it directs you to where you need to go for your participation or your weekly assignments. So within the semester, every week you'll have a weekly response task, and that task is worth 5 points each week. So throughout the course, there are about 15 weeks, you could earn a possible highest amount of 75 points. When it comes to these, especially when they're discussion threads, you have to submit your initial response by 11:59 on Wednesdays. Then you're required to go in and read the responses of your peers and respond to them by 11:59 on Sunday. You have to do this to at least 3 peers, and you want to have like an ongoing conversation. So you may see that you and another classmate go back and forth, which is fine. You may agree to disagree on how you feel about one of our topics that we're talking about, which is great. Again, it's an online class, but building a sense of community is really important. Several of you might have multiple classes together, so it's great to communicate and not feel like you're isolated in your own little space, being that this is an online class. So talk to your peers, make sure your communication in between discussion board threads are meaningful and it's more than just, oh, that was nice. Oh, I believe in this zone of proximal development. Yes, this boy moved those Legos. Absolutely not. That is not in-depth conversation really reflecting on what your classmates have said. So make sure you actually read their responses, their original post, and you respond back to them in meaningful conversation by Sundays at 11:59 p.m. Now, outside of those weekly posts, you also have an initial philosophy that you're going to write up. Over the course of your teaching career, we believe this, we believe that. We believe in cooperative learning. We believe in sitting our desk or arranging our desk in a certain way. We believe in having little clips that we move up and down. We believe in putting kids out of our classroom. Whatever it is that we believe, A, you want to make sure that it's educationally sound, and B, you want to be able to articulate what it is as far as this is what I believe all kids should learn or can learn. That's a very broad statement. Why do you believe all kids can learn? What is it that you're doing as an educator that promotes or enables all children to learn in your classroom? Digging deep and actually identifying this using your specific teacher language is why I do X, Y, and Z in my class. As you compose your initial teaching philosophy, you want to think about this. You want to look at it as a narrative format of if a principal was going to hire me or to invite me for an interview and he or she asks me, to summarize what it is I believe a teacher can do or why I would do this in my classroom, you should be able to articulate that in written format, and that's how it should be written, as if you were giving this to a principal or a hiring committee so that they have a picture of you on paper. So inside the syllabus, there are some guiding questions to help you think about how to elaborate on this. These guiding questions are just that. They're guiding questions. It's not that you should bullet each of these questions and respond to it. That is not a narrative, and your philosophy should be a narrative. Now, as you go through this course and other courses, or you're in your classroom and you're like, oh my God, I believe this, and then you say, oh my God, it did not work with my kids. That impacts your philosophy of education. So your philosophy, as you reflect on different experiences, will change. So 2 of your assignments, A, your initial philosophy is due next week during week 2 of our class, uploaded in Blackboard, is due. However, at the end of the semester, you're going to go in and you're going to revise your philosophy. What's changed? Are you currently teaching? How did those experiences impact what I believe? Pretty much just what I told you. You're going to reflect what you thought, why you thought it, and how it's different at the end of the semester. And also at the end of the semester, you should be able to cite what theorist kind of came up with this. Why do I believe in reward and punishment? This theorist said it. Does it apply in all situations? Probably not. However, you're going to say why it works for you. You're going to use your APA manual to properly cite information in your philosophy, and that could come from our book, and it can come from other resources. So initially, that initial philosophy is due by the end of week 2, and it is worth 25 points of your final grade. Your final one has a different value point, and we'll go over it shortly. Additionally, throughout the course, you're going to have the opportunity to tell me how you feel, what it is you're learning, where you may need additional support, or burning questions that you may have. So within that, you're going to have reflective journal entries. You're going to have 2 of them specifically, one that's due at the end of week 5, and then your second one is due at the end of week 12. There is not really a right or a wrong answer to your journal. It really has to do with you actually reflecting on your practice, on your beliefs, on your content that you're exploring, why it makes sense, why it doesn't, just anything that relates to this class and how you feel I can better support you, or you have a takeaway that you're implementing in your class. So this assignment is a paper written in narrative format, and it should be about 2 to 3 pages. Now, make sure you're making connections. So you may say, hey, in chapter 4, this is what I read, this is how I'm applying it, or this is not how I'm applying it. If maybe not, I'm not sure. It's okay. The point is you're being reflective, which when we go back to our standards, part of our framework in our teacher preparation programs is that you learn to be reflective. So again, these are not assignments that are just busy work. There's a reason for them. So again, you have 2 of those throughout the course. Each is worth 25 points. Additionally, you're going to have 2 case studies. So if you've never had a case study before, it's almost like a vignette where you're given a scenario and you have to come up with how could you work? What could you do? Why would you do it? Who supports the rationale of your thought process on solving this problem? So you're going to be given 2 of those, and again, your response to it should be a written response, not simply bullets, but you also want to make sure that you're citing who supports you as far as the theories that you're looking at. Because again, this is a course on learning theories, and there are lots of theorists that have come up with something that impacts what we do in our classroom. Some of them you may think, goodness gracious, are they important to education? And yeah, what they said may not work. It may not make any sense in our modern society, but it might have made sense when they were doing it, when they were studying in a lab. And you may also see people come up with theories and they work perfectly dealing with a specific population of students. However, it's not generalizable to a different set. So when you're looking at these case studies, you'll have context to know what the environment is, and then you come up with this is how I would solve that problem. So at the end of week 7 and 10, you will have two of those, one each time, and they're each worth 25 points. So your major assignment in this course, which will be considered your final, has to do with you analyzing, comparing, contrasting, looking at 3 different theorists. When you look at them, you're going to dig deep and analyze their theory, break it apart, put it back together, talk about how it impacts education in the greater broad sense, not just about what happens in your classroom or your school, but this is the big picture of how these theories their theories manifest throughout time. Because we know in education it kind of ebbs and flows. Some things work, some things don't. They come back just in a different package. So you're going to take the opportunity to really get to know these theories and the people that came up with them and talk about them. So this project is broken down so that you have an organizer that you're going to create. And this organizer is pretty much your mind map of general concepts that you want to talk about or you want to learn about or explore about these theorists. You probably don't have the answer to your questions that you put in your mind map, but that's part of the course. You're going to dig deep and explore. And this is another time where talking to your classmates may be really important. You might say, hey, I love Erickson's stages of development. You do too? Well, what do you think? Do you think these age brackets are appropriate? Does it take into where adults to develop some aspects of our thinking or understanding or processing the world or coming up with metacognitive thoughts? And how do we use metacognition? So, again, that assignment is part of your bigger assignment. The theories that you choose to create your organizer on are the theories that you should write your paper about in the end of this course. So again, start working on it as quickly as possible. Using the theorist grid that I'm going to put online for you is important. So trying to figure that out and also helping your classmates out. There's going to be a discussion board thread where you can go in and you can title each of your entries as a specific theorist's name and put the information that you've gathered about it. One person shouldn't do it all, but just as a courtesy and building a sense of community, if you come up with a theorist that's not talked about in the book and you're like, hey, they're kind of cool, or they came up with something that I just think is totally wrong, put it in the thread. It may be extremely helpful for one of your classmates, and it'll get you in the habit of just researching outside of the book or an article that you're given inside of a different class. So make sure that you identify those theories as quickly as possible, and note by the halfway point, week 8 in the semester, you should have them identified, your 3 theorists, and a mind map of how you want to continue your study on those people. We're also going to have a midterm and a final, which will be multiple choice / essays / quick response, and those will be on Blackboard at the explicit weeks that they're noted. Most assignments are due by 11:59 on Sundays. The links for these assignments normally disappear at 12 o'clock on Monday. So if you have an assignment due, don't wait till 11:58, because at that point is normally when your computer goes to sleep or your battery dies, and by the time you get it restarted, it's Monday and your assignment can't be turned in. So as a refresher from earlier, assignments can only be submitted via Blackboard, or if there is an outside space like a Google Doc, that's where you need to upload the information. Emailed assignments don't work for me. I get lots of emails, just like you probably get lots of emails. Going through to look for an attachment is not what I'm going to do in our class. So just note every assignment should be logged in Blackboard. And again, going back to our standards, when we go through accreditation, when people come and look at our program, there's specific assignments that you have to complete that go into TaskStream, which is a system where the state and federal agencies can go in to say, yes, this candidate did X, Y, and Z, and they evaluate your work like we evaluated it. So just please make sure you're uploading those assignments in the proper place. So you have your updated teaching philosophy that will be due later in the semester. And then once you do your theorist organizer, you're going to actually write your paper, which in depth may be 10 or more pages, but you're also going to come up with the presentation. So this would be similar to you did a research study, you're going off to a conference, and you're sharing the information that you have researched with other people. So whether this is a Prezi, whether this is a PowerPoint, whether this is, hold on, I just lost. Oh no. Oh no, hold tight. Oh my God, technical issue. Trying to get it done. I so thought I lost this video. Backtrack. So sorry. If you were going to a conference, you would create a presentation. So that is what you're going to do for your response paper. And you're actually going to present this to your classmates via Adobe Connect or Blackboard Collaborative at the end of the semester. That is what your final project is going to be. I've thought about this. I've learned about these theorists. I've investigated them. I've gone farther than the book says. I've watched videos. I've talked to my classmates. This is my understanding of these three theorists, if not more, and how they have an impact on learning. I'm going to write this paper, and then I'm going to come up with a presentation that takes about 5 minutes to divulge the information that I have about them and disseminate it to my classmates. So that is a big chunk of your grade in this course. And then you have your final assessment. And your final assessment will be the week of exams, Wednesday, May 10th by 11:59 is when you will have to upload your completed assignment. Now, just a quick reminder about your midterm and your final. They are completed in Blackboard. You have one attempt, and what is key about that is if you close out of the browser in which you open the assessment in and it closes in the mist, that's something you can email me about. However, if your browser closes, your assignment is graded. So you want to make sure that you are in a space where you can actually take the test uninterrupted and you're not toggling between different pages. Because again, if you close it out, it grades it for you. The other thing is to take a moment and look at the point system. Ultimately, you can acquire up to 700 points in the course. Looking at the syllabus, you'll see how each of those falls within a group. 658 points to 700 is an A. Being that we're in a graduate course, anything below a C is considered an F. Partially because you have to keep pretty much a 3.0 GPA to stay in your program, and anything below that C is going to continuously make your GPA drop. So just note, at the end of the semester, you want to have as many points as possible. 700 is the max. Anything below 518 is an F. And things to keep in mind, I don't give incompletes. You have a lot of time throughout the semester. It's laid out for you as far as what weeks most things are due. However, it is subject to change based on how you guys as a collective group are doing. Just like in your classroom, things may change based on the needs of your students, and that is pretty much how this class works as well. if we're stuck on a week and I see everyone is struggling with a discussion board post, or our ideas are slightly constructed in a manner that are askew from what is normal, we'll have to take an opportunity to look at that a little more in depth. So just note, outside of those major we need to stop and talk about this more, our syllabus is pretty much set as far as the weeks in which activities are due, and the schedule about how we're going to talk about things. But just know, withdrawals have to be submitted by week 10 of the semester. You'll get your midterm grade probably about when we come back from spring break, so you'll have to make an informed decision. Hopefully no one has to withdraw, but if life happens, it does, and it's okay. But just know your paperwork needs to be submitted to the registrar's office. So looking at our tentative schedule, our first few weeks are looking at education as a whole, how students learn, and then slowly and steadily we're going to get dig deeper into our theorists. How do they impact or tell us and guide us how our students learn? What type of learning is taking place? Is it brain theory? Is it behavioral? If it's social? We're going to dig deep and figure out what those are, or why this is how they learn, or the stages in which they develop. So typically by 4 or 5, your kids have built a huge vocabulary. Is there research that says kids aren't going to build a huge vocabulary by 5? Yes. Do we know if this is normal? If it's not normal? Well, we're going to talk about it later in the semester. So, other things to remember, please don't copy and paste someone else's work. Major assignments do go through a safe check, which is where it compares your paper to random papers that you may be able to pay for out in space. So just note, if you plagiarize, it's going to impact your grade. And hopefully it's not what you want to do because you really want to learn. But just in case you're tempted, note, plagiarism is not accepted in our class or in the program or at the university. Also note, Blueford Library is a wonderful resource. It's a great place to study. It's also a great place to go in and look at the teacher laboratory or to just read a book. There are great books over there, and it's open most of the time. But just know the following pages in the syllabus give you resources, technology resources, online etiquette resources, statements regarding people with special needs or within the IDEA acts. Whatever it is you need, you can find a link to it probably in the syllabus, and if not, that is what I'm here for. So when we take a moment and look at our Blackboard shell, it's separated so that we have our syllabus and we also have our weekly modules. So when you click into our weekly modules, at the very beginning, you'll see major assignments. So inside this folder is where you will upload and submit those major assignments that we just talked about in the syllabus. And then you can upload them whenever you want to. So if you want to do it ahead of time, please feel free. But after that, you have your weekly modules. Inside your weekly modules are tasks for that week. It may not, sorry about the glare, it may not support those small activities inside in that major folder, but inside the weekly, you have to keep digging. You have to keep digging. Sometimes it just tells you what chapter in the book you should read. It may tell you what resources are there. It also may guide you to a link to submit an activity. And if I can turn it around quickly, I'll actually show it to you. But if not, exploring it throughout the semester or your first few days is really important. It may take a moment for it to come up over there. But in looking at this, inside Module 1, which is week 1, you have the task of introducing yourself to the class. You'll have the task of actually taking a moment to look at the syllabus in detail and acknowledge that you've taken a look at it. But if you can see, This is what our Blackboard shell looks like. And over here, you have your starting point. Of where it goes over our etiquette, our intro to the course. It gives you my contact information. It has a copy of the syllabus. Here you can find your grades. And right here at course materials is where you will go to get your weekly modules. Now when you go in here, here's your major assignments folder where you'll upload the first assignment, which is your initial teaching philosophy. And then here's an example of the modules. So in week 1, once you click on it, it'll have your resources folder, which may have videos for you to watch. It may have a copy of the PowerPoint that supports the chapters that you've read in the book, or it might have a case study for you to look at and then we discuss. Once you pass that, you have your assignments, which is where most of the tasks for the week may be embedded or a reminder about a major assignment might be. For this particular week, you do have an assignment, which is a collaborative, which takes you to a Google Doc. So you'll click this link right here to go to that weekly assignment. But then you also have 2 Blackboard posts. So your Blackboard posts are here, so you can connect and go straight to them, or you always have the option to just click on the left side and go straight to the discussion board link. But when you click here, it should automatically take you over to that link, and you just create your thread to upload your video in this case, or whatever your response is. So every week you want to make sure you look through that weekly module as thoroughly as possible. Make sure you've read your text and make sure you complete those mini assignments within the modules, which may or may not be a discussion board, but make sure you complete them by 11:59 when they're due. Wednesdays for your initial posts, Sundays for your responses to your classmates. So I know it's a lot in this video. However, watch it again if you need to. Email me, call me, or Wednesday, stop by my office. I hope this is kind of giving you insight about where we're going, answer some questions, and giving you like a foresight on some of the assignments that you need to kind of start working on. And just note, communicate with me as much as you need to.